excited to take part in this conversation about our favorite stone. Diamonds are literally thousands of years old, and they have the romance and mythology around love, beauty, and fashion. Please welcome our panelists to talk about all things diamonds, Kristina Buckley, who is the U.S. Managing Director of the Diamond Producers Association, and identified as one of the most powerful stylists by both the Hollywood Reporter and the New York Times. Karla Welch is a true force in the fashion world. Karla? And longtime EMA board member, actor, and activist, last seen on Fox's The Passage, Emmanuelle Chriqui. Hi.
Hi.
So what I think is really interesting about diamonds, fashion, and sustainability is fashion has traditionally been not the most transparent industry when it comes to sustainability. And jewelry and diamonds have kind of been that, followed suit in that way. So Kristina, if you might explain what the DPA is and what they do in their work, how it makes, in regards to environmental and socioeconomic impacts.
Yes. Well, first of all, it is such a privilege to be here and to share the stage with Melissa, Emmanuelle, and Karla. So the DPA is the Diamond Producers Association. It was founded in 2015 by the 7 leading diamond mining companies who globally represent 75% of diamond production. And they came together with a united commitment for sustainable and ethical business operations and transparent business practices. And in fact, they're looking to improve the overall standards for the entire industry from mine to market. And since its inception, the DPA is really taking concrete and measurable steps so that ultimately we can feel comfortable and confident in owning and wearing our natural diamonds. So the DPA, as you saw Jean-Marc in the video, just recently came out with a report titled Total Clarity. And the reason why we conducted this report is the fact that there have been tremendous strides within the diamond mining sector over the last 15 years, and it was time to measure the progress and see how we're doing and set a baseline and foundation from which to continue to monitor our improvement. And the results were quite illuminating. We engaged a third-party auditor. They're entitled True Cost. They're part of the S&P Global, and their specialization is to quantify the socioeconomic and environmental impact and benefits of an industry. And they did exactly that with the DPA members across 35 operations, across 4 continents, from Russia to Canada, Australia, and Africa. Thousands and thousands of data points were gathered over the course of a year and just recently have been compiled through this Total Clarity report and organized in 3 pillars: our people, our communities, and our planet. So the findings of this report, Jean-Marc stated a few, really do address some of the misconceptions and misperceptions that have plagued the industry for too long. So just some of the key data. As Jean-Marc mentioned, $16 billion per annum goes into socioeconomic and environmental benefits, and the majority of that goes directly back to the people and to the local communities. In fact, close to $7 billion a year goes to the sourcing of local goods and services. There's a picture here, one of my favorite, of the woman in Botswana and her bakery business. And there's a multiplier effect with that. And that's just one out of thousands and thousands of examples. So, and with regards to, our people, close to $4 billion per annum goes into employment and into social and cultural programs, and around 292 million goes into healthcare and education. And for example, in Botswana, primary and middle and secondary education is free, thanks to the mining operations there. So I can speak about, these great sums, and they are impressive. But ultimately, who are the people, who are the humans that this is impacting? And the DPA members collectively employ 77,000 people. That's similar to a Nike and a Coca-Cola, worldwide. And there's a great investment in training and in skills development, and these aren't just jobs, they really become long-term careers. And the workplace conditions are really very safe and excellent. And again, this true cost report really puts things into perspective. There's a safety incident for every 1,000,000 hours worked. When you compare it to other industries, comparable industries, it's a fraction of the safety incidences that happen in transportation, construction, and even retail. So again, there's this total clarity report is really quite illuminating, and I can go on about the data, but at the end, it is about the human stories, the human faces, and the human people.
Absolutely. Well, again, create sort of gathering all this information in one place to create some transparency in a previously not so transparent arena. But Karla, taking all that data, from the data to the dress, essentially, from the data to that diamond necklace or a pair of earrings you're sort of placing on your client, how much does fashion's impact and the jewelry industry's impact and that these items are having on our society impact your choice and what you sort of in your work?
Well, it plays a huge role. I work a lot with vintage brands because I think what is existing is what is most sustainable. In terms of jewelry, I like using all my vintage sources. In a way, just to come back what you were talking about, I think one of my roles as a stylist, and beyond styling in a way, because I operate on many levels as an activist as well, as also saying to companies, well, what are you doing? And this report is huge, but it's also going further. Okay, you've come out with your transparency. We're seeing like an incredible standard, but like how much money are you putting towards environmental things? When I do a collaboration, there's always a tie-in with the companies I work with. For me, my power is enabled to say, okay, Levi's, I'm going to do this collaboration with you. It's going to be amazing. We're going to get this talent, but I want this much money to go to gun control. Will you work with me on that? So it's beyond red carpet for me at this point, because the problems are not, I can't just be about the red carpet. It has to be about what else can I do and what leverage I can use as a stylist to say to companies, let's put your money where your mouth is. Reports are great, but what is the real action beyond? Providing jobs is obviously super important. That's what drives all of us, especially in America. There's a reason the environment isn't at the top of voters' lists, and I can understand that. I grew up in a very small town where if the mill closed down, it greatly affected my family's income. But so in my powerful position of being like, do I want to use this diamond necklace or that diamond necklace? I'm going with the company who's going to have greater action on projects that are important to me. And right now, that's the environment.
And what? Cool. Yeah. And Karla's able to do something like that, obviously, because of her interests and her passion for all the causes she's interested in, but also your platform. You do very much utilize your platform. What inspired you to? I don't even know if you were inspired. It's just something you do, right?
It's kind of am who I am. Oprah has a great quote. It's like, when you find your voice, you need to use it. And my mom was always like that to me when we were a kid. You always had to stand up for what you believed in and stand for what's right. But I think so often, if you're not an expert, you're afraid to speak up. And that's what politicians have told you. Leave it to people in Washington. Well, look where that's gotten us. So I don't think you have to be, I don't think you have to know everything to not ask questions and have an opinion and say what you believe in, because that's how changes happen. And we're all too afraid. Like, I'm not afraid to use my voice. I don't care if you don't want to work with me. I don't, because if you don't want to work with me, that means that we have a moral difference of opinions or if I'm polarizing for a company, well, that's their loss, because I know that I can push a narrative of something that I believe in and that I've researched. And so it's not even a choice to me. I've never put that much overthinking into something.
Right, but I think it's an interesting part, between social media, with the DPA coming out with, reports and clarity on the issue, like you have, stylists, people on the red carpet. It's like sort of all these people converging in one place, meeting each other more than halfway. How does it affect the decisions you make when you're actually on the red carpet and as an environmental activist yourself? How does it all play into what you choose? Yeah.
Listen, it's an exciting time because, being part of the EMA for 11 plus years, there was a time where there was a lot of ideas and people were talking about what it'll be like in the future. And so the future is happening now, where brands are becoming super conscious. And so we have the ability to be like, I want to support this clothing brand. I want to support this jewelry. I want to be able to create. There's a story with all these brands, and I think that that's what's exciting. So using social media, I can tag what I'm wearing, but it goes beyond tagging. It's like, let's tell the story of that. Because I think that when people know the story, you wear something with a lot more pride, and you're not, generally someone compliments you on something, we tend to be a little humble. Whereas when you're wearing something that has a great story, you're like, oh, you love these earrings? Let me tell you the story about these earrings, where they come from, how they were made. And I think people like to be a part of that, and I think it's an exciting time. I think we're becoming bolder with what we decide to wear and what we won't.
Right, especially because jewelry, diamonds especially, obviously they mark milestones and huge celebrations in our life. The fact that we don't have to sort of find it and just hope that it came from a great place, right? We can sort of make a more informed decision. And are there any sort of designers and people in your work in sustainability that you've really been championing and making a point to wear?
Gosh, there are so many.
We're talking about H&M too, with their conscious line that we're.
Sorry, you said
H&M and their conscious line.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
You were excited about.
We were talking backstage. I'm so excited about my dress tomorrow night. I'm wearing a H&M Conscious collection, and it's a dress that's made of recycled water bottles from the ocean, and it's so beautiful. You just would never know it, and that's part of when I say about the story. Like when I'm going to post it on Instagram, I can't wait to say, hey, P.S., this is how this dress was made.
Right.
And I think, people really like that. As far as jewelry goes, I think, it's nice to know that certainly there's a lot of places that are, at the very least, conscious. At the very least, they're conflict-free diamonds, which is a really big deal. We don't want to be wearing jewelry where people have been killed in the mining and all the rest.
Of course.
Yeah.
So where are we at today? Should consumers feel very confident about wearing natural diamonds?
Yes, I think with this comprehensive assessment, we can really see where the money, where your investment is going. And it's important, to talk about the strides we are making with the environment. Our environmental stewardship is the key priority, the key obligation for DPA members. And we are, under much scrutiny and work in close collaboration with the local governments and communities. And it's the focus is to continue to control and minimize our environmental footprint. And there are a lot of initiatives that are underway, using renewable energy sources. For example, the Divik Mile in the Northwest Territory of Canada has an increasing source of their power coming from wind farms, and other energy reduction initiatives. In fact, there's also an innovative carbon capture program. And carbon dioxide emissions, fossil fuel emissions, is one of our main impacts. And what we're seeing there is that, again, with the true cost study, we can actually say that per polished carat, 160 kilograms of carbon dioxide was required for recovery of that diamond. But putting that in perspective, that is less than 1/5 of the carbon footprint of a passenger flying from New York to LA. It is 60% less than that of the energy required to create a lab-grown diamond. This is not to say pound our chest. Absolutely not. There's absolutely work that needs to be done, and there are initiatives underway. In fact, the De Beers Group, which is part of the DPA, they're pioneering a carbon capture program and it's led by a woman scientist in her 30s, Dr. Evelyn Mervine. And so the kimberlite ore that diamonds are extracted from has the capacity to act as a sponge and actually absorb and store carbon dioxide in a non-toxic way. And the results are so promising to the point that De Beers feels that they can have the first carbon neutral mine in 5 to 8 years.
De Beers needs to share that technology.
I
I was
They
just
do.
going to say the data around this and the report that I saw, and obviously that you're saying now, is so immense, and it's been sort of a very long time coming. I'm sure that's why it's all kind of in one place. Where can people sort of become informed, and is it solely through this report, or is there a social media handle, or how are these companies sort of pushing it out to the greater population?
Yeah, so the report just launched, and there'll be a lot of communication around it. But of course, we encourage you to visit the website total-clarity.com, where you can find the report, the key findings, and the key case studies, as well as download the report. And we have social media, Total Clarity Diamonds. And so this is the first wave. Like I said at the beginning, this is a foundation, this is a baseline for which we'll continue to monitor our progress.
Yeah, and just like we were saying, with everybody sort of, I think the key is we all have to meet halfway, right? Or more than halfway. We can't make really thoughtful and informed decisions, whether it's the red carpet or just our next pair of jeans or whatever it is, without, this access to the information and the total clarity, transparency from especially larger companies. So thank you for that. I think that's it, unless we're...
Yeah, and of course, and speaking of, natural diamonds and the choices that you have to make, I think what's, important is that now with total clarity, with transparency, you can feel confident in knowing that when you purchase, one polished carat, that half of that is going directly to the people in the communities. I just touched the surface on what we're doing in terms of environmental work, and long-term biodiversity programs are really powerful and have been underway for the long term. And that's the thing. This is a long-term operation. Everything is done mindfully, thinking about the communities and the environment in which these companies operate. And ultimately, it's for you to feel empowered with the choice that you make in wearing your diamonds.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.